Hi guys, coming to you again from Costa Rica. This time I'm on the Pacific coast, on an island actually. I'm staying with some friends. We all rented a house here on the beach. It's amazing. Maybe you can hear the ocean in the background. It's right there. But anyway, today what I want to talk to you about is actually a question I get a lot, which is how do I live like this? How do I make money to live and travel and all that jazz. So I'm going to talk to you about that. So to give you some quick background, I used to manage a yoga and holistic health center in Rhode Island, and I stopped doing that in November of 2012. And when I left there, I took on a project for that same company of basically creating a website for them. So after I finished that project for the company that I worked for and still work for, I found that a lot of other yoga studios, mostly across the country and other places, use these two same softwares. So long story short, I started building a customer base from that. So that's what I do mostly for work. There's a lot of ways you can earn money by working online. Some of the common ones are transcribing, working as a virtual assistant. If you have a skill such as web design, graphic design, coding, translating, basically anything, actually, you can post it on a site like Elance, create a profile for yourself, and then find jobs that way. And I mean, that's just a little bit into the world of making money while being location independent. And you can get obviously a lot more creative with it than that, but those are some really common ones. I know a lot of people who do that sort of thing. Another way you could go about it if you want to travel is you could work in the places that you're traveling. So you could teach English as a second language, for example. I have a lot of friends who've done it in Korea, and it pays well, and they also pay for all of your travel and living expenses there. You could volunteer somewhere, you could get involved with something like woofing or Help X, and then you stay for free. You get free room and board, and they feed you, and you work trade, basically. You trade. You could also be an au pair, where you go to another country and take care of a family's children, and a lot of times they want you to teach them your native language, and you get to learn their language, and that's a really cool way to go about it as well. Those are common ones we hear about, but there's everything. My sister is into technical theater, and she's been touring with theater productions for over 10 years, and she loves it because she's on the go and she's doing what she loves, and she makes great money, and she doesn't have expenses like a car or a home or insurance, and so there's just a million ways to make money. Now, a really big common misconception people seem to have is that traveling is expensive. I want to dispel that completely. I want people to know how possible it is for everybody to travel. Traveling can be expensive. Anything can be expensive, it all depends on how you go about it. But the way I travel is vastly less expensive than the way I lived when I wasn't traveling. And I wasn't living an extravagant lifestyle. I was living a minimalist lifestyle, and I was living with somebody else as well. And together we still spent somewhere around $3,000 a month, something like that. Maybe $2,000 at the very cheapest that we could manage. And living alone, traveling on the road, I can spend $500 a month in Costa Rica. I can spend $1,000 a month in the States. My monthly budget is basically around $1,000. Think about it. When you have a home or rent a home, you have to have, you pay monthly rent for that, or you're paying a mortgage. You may have to have homeowners insurance. You definitely have a vehicle of some sort, and therefore insurance for that vehicle, and maintenance on that vehicle. You have to pay for gas and electric, internet, maybe a gym membership, any other memberships you're dealing with, expenses pertaining to your home, such as buying furniture, and just the whole game of it, the keeping up with the Joneses. Like, you have to, have your place furnished a certain way, or you want to have a nice design, or you really get into that, and maybe that's fun for you, and if that's fun for you and you're getting joy from it, it's adding value to your life, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But when it becomes some sort of an obligation and you realize you're not really content putting money into the things that you're putting money into, you feel obligated to spend money on insurance or furniture or anything, a vehicle. I feel like if you feel obligated to do something as opposed to doing it out of desire or joy, you should always check in and say, can I live without this? And what I found was I could live without all of that. I used to spend so much money on food, so much more money than I spend on food now, because one of the things I enjoyed doing was making fun, just different new foods and combinations and dinners, but the truth was that, and while I do enjoy doing that, the real thing was that was kind of one of my only places that I was finding daily joy, because my life otherwise was so full of things I didn't want to do. I didn't want to spend 10 hours a day between working and going to and from work and getting ready for work, and I didn't want to feel exhausted at the end of every day and not have the energy to play and do the things that truly bring me joy. I really feel like this is accessible to everybody. If you want it, if you have the desire, the true desire to do this, you can. A lot of people say, like, oh, you're so lucky, I could never do this, or I could never travel like you do, I could never, leave my job, leave my home, I have this or that, or even, I couldn't travel with kids, or I couldn't, whatever you think it is that is holding you back, have a huge gut check and see if that's what's really holding you back, or if you're just afraid to take the plunge. And if you're afraid to take the plunge, that's okay. Everybody is. It's not about not having that fear. It's about not letting that fear control you and to control this life that you have. Don't you want to make the most of it and live your dreams? There's nothing different or special about me that makes it that I can do this and you can't. I just decided to go for it. And I'm so grateful that I did. The best advice I can give you is, if you have the dream, take the leap.